Good morning, everybody. So we know our kids are 20% of the population now, but 100% of the future. And speaking of the future, I want you to imagine in your mind right now that it's the year 2041. 2 whole decades into the future from this moment right now. Our children, and for some of us, our grandchildren, will most likely be grown adults carrying forward whatever legacy we have left behind for them. Whatever we have instilled into them is what they are going to use to become leaders of the world, leaders of our churches, leaders of our homes. Think about that. Who's going to prepare them for this? It's our job to train and equip so that we can secure our future. I know it might make us a little uneasy to think about the condition that the world could be in 20 years from now. One that will probably need Jesus like never before. But what if we refuse to speak fear and worry into them about the future? What if instead we were able to speak life and we talk about it like it's going to be the best thing? 20 years from now may seem a little far-fetched for some of us, but can you envision 10 years? How about 3 years? What about even 2 months from now? And do that with anticipation and excitement. This is how it was for our 6-year-old Oakland just a few short weeks ago. He had graduated from kindergarten. They had the nicest ceremony ever, and he was so excited about it. Now, let me tell you a little bit about him. He is so difficult to get up in the mornings. He is a bear, and I had this great idea that I was going to buy him a loft bed because I thought surely that will help motivate him to wake up. No, it was awful. I had to drag him out of bed, and the only way to get him up is to plop him straight into the bathtub. I just found out that he's actually still asleep right now. But awful. Now, the reason these arrows are pointing to my older kids is because they're little angels getting up in the morning. Not all the time, but in the morning, they do well waking up on their own and getting ready. But Oakland, not one day of his whole kindergarten year did he wake up without a struggle. However, after this kindergarten graduation ceremony happened, he got his certificate, we went home, and the next morning, it was very early. We're pretty early risers, but we heard all this rustling around. We heard drawers slamming, water running, and he comes racing into our room. My husband and I looked at each other and we thought, that's so funny, what's he doing? He was ready to go. He was fully dressed, hair slicked back, so excited for the day. We chuckled, we looked at each other, we said, who is this kid? Buddy, why are you up so early and so ready? And he looked at me and he said, that's what first graders do. Oh, I said, oh, okay. You know, the funny thing was we looked at each other and we said, who wants to burst his bubble and tell him he actually has 2 more days of kindergarten left? You know, that's a funny story, but here's the thing. We're going to go all in for the things that we're excited about. Isn't that the truth? And we're going to do it well. This is true if we are a volunteer teacher in children's ministry, if we are serving on a meal team, or even if we're waking up for a brand new school year. It's all about your attitude and perspective. So train your teachers to be excited and joyful. This hits home with me because in our first couple of years of pastoring, I will never forget the day that I walked through and I was back by our gymnasium and there was a little child with their parent begging for them to not have to go to children's ministry. They said, I don't want to go to Sunday school. Please don't make me. It's so boring. Oh, and at the moment, it just was like a stab in the heart. And I thought, God, what are we doing here for our children? What kind of things are we creating for them when they don't even want to come? Those things don't secure and keep our future moving forward. Our volunteer teachers were doing the very best that they could, but they didn't love teaching. They weren't excited to be there, and the kids knew it. From that moment on, a switch flipped within me, and we decided right away that we would do a complete overhaul of how we did our children's ministry. So train every kids volunteer to smile. Train them to serve with enthusiasm. Don't assume that they're going to naturally know how to do this. There is nothing worse than a grouch working your kids' check-in. Especially when you bring your neighbor's child for the very first time and they greet you with a glare. Our children's ministry should be the most memorable, engaging, and fun thing that they can ever be a part of. This secures commitment and a love for church as the children grow. Some days we even have special visits from Anna, Elsa, we're on a Disney theme today, and Spider-Man that are going to tell our children how much that Jesus loves them. We have a new couple, and they told me that their kids are counting down the days and the number of sleeps before it's time for Kids Jam again. Here's another truth for you today. Time flies. It doesn't stop for any of us. It doesn't slow down. So let's train our children to serve. We blinked, and these same kids that you see in this picture right here were helping lead on a kids' crusade night, and just like that, they are the ones that are now leading our church body into worship every Wednesday. So 7, 8, 9 years went by. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Just like that. We are asking ourselves, did we train them enough on how to lead? Did we show them how to flow in the Spirit? We had to get it right. Did we get them the resources they need? Did we encourage music lessons? We were so blessed that Wednesday night. But if children can start shadowing teams now, and your church can start embracing a generational model, we will never lack in volunteers that are trained and trained well. This could mean having junior door greeters, junior camera operators, all kinds of things. Even 11 and 12-year-olds who start learning how to mow the lawn. You decide what works best for your church model and culture. Benjamin Franklin said this, "Tell me, and I forget. Teach me, I may remember, but involve me, and I learn." Though all of these areas of talent I've mentioned are great and so needed, I pray above that we can model for our children what it means to build strong marriages, balanced families, healthy homes, and be emotionally and spiritually healthy. Another brand new mother in our church came to us a few weeks ago searching for an encounter with God that was very real and powerful. She had recently gone through a tough divorce, and with tears in her eyes, she shared with me how important it was for her 2 boys to be in church and to be raised knowing how to be a godly father someday and a godly husband someday for their future. Here's my third point and my last one. Find the children that are capable of replacing you someday and pour into them. So let's train our leaders. I'm talking a lot about training today. Train our teachers and train our children. Train our leaders. Invest in them to duplicate themselves in our current children and youth. Ask yourself, who has leadership potential? This could be a tough one. It might make us tear down a little bit of our pride, a little bit of our feelings of entitlement. But if we're truly kingdom-minded, then we must expand, increase, and multiply. So train, train, train. Bring them along with you. Have a growth mindset. Our very own Ethan Hethcox. You all know this guy right here? I had to be honest with myself because when he started evangelizing and traveling, you know what that meant? We were excited for him, but that meant our church, we lost Ethan Hethcox. And I said, did we show this to anybody else? Did we have kids that were in training to learn how to do puppets and learn how to minister like Brother Ethan? We were lacking a little bit. And that was a serious point I had to consider. But for us, we're constantly looking to formulate teams and leaders for the future. Our goal is to have multiple locations and to have that operating smoothly. Now, this picture from our baby dedication, we got to dedicate 15 babies and toddlers. When I look at that photograph, I don't just see them as infants. I see future Bible study teachers. I see future production engineers. I see future worship leaders. And I see future missionaries. Brother Ball poured his heart out to us last night, and I know that it filled the room and touched us about missionaries. Let's train and teach them, pour into them. We're given one window of opportunity for our time here. So let's train our teachers to be excited, train our children to serve by involving them, and train our leaders to invest and duplicate themselves into others. Thank you.